Hello, I don't really do reviews, but The War Between the Land and the Sea, I have thoughts, and I'm going to buy it on DVD, and I want to explain why. And ultimately that's the kind of shitty thing of me to do, because I love Doctor Who, and apparently morals don't matter to me, because
The BBC
it was not only shit, like aggressively shit on trans stuff, but they are outlandishly shit on Palestine stuff as well. So the very idea of giving them money is kind of fucked up. But yeah, I'm gonna buy this on DVD, and I'm here to explain why. Okay, so episode 1 and episode 3 both just felt like filler. If they were like just 20 minutes, like if they were half the length, then it would have been a lot more viable. But episode 3, my main issue with that episode is that, like, apart from just there's so much faffing about, being in that sort of pod that was going down, there were like, how many like characters in there were just entirely not characterized? Like, there were 2 women who were basically indistinguishable because they both had like probably about 2 lines each, if that, in the whole episode, Like, we're given this little bottle episode, and then we get so little with it, Yeah, the ending, where, like, it was so clear that the thing was a bomb, but I think what was frustrating was that the bomb was, like, unleashed so fucking soon, Like, let us enjoy a bit, like, experience a bit of the time under there, we spent so long getting there. So that was rubbish. So yeah, the pacing of the first episode, the pacing of the third episode, they were just rubbish episodes. This show has a lot of issues, I don't care about the love stuff. I think the fact that this story has so much real world analogousness is what makes it so impactful, we are destroying the oceans and stuff and our environment, and we are just ploughing forward, Like, that speech that Barclay gives, like, from the common man as opposed to the politicians, that was very impactful, because it's like, we all really feel that, that is the way it is. And that was a cool perspective, and as Hudson Media said, like, the reason why it was impactful that all the plastic came down at the end of the second episode is because we know that plastic is in the sea. The strength of this story is in the fact that it's so grounded in the real world. Like, that's the reason why I don't care too much about how the threat about rust, which was a cool idea, had no bearing on anything. It was bullshit, but you forgot about it so quick. The thing that, like, bugs me most about this story is that they do what they always do in, Silurian stories. Like, they did this with the first Silurian story. The Silurians literally released a virus that would kill every human on the planet. And if it wasn't for the Doctor, they would have succeeded. And they do that with this by trying to, like, raise the sea level by 100 meters. And it's like, you know what? If they're trying to genocide us, the ethics of us genociding them are a lot less clear-cut, and, there's a lot less to think about, in terms of, like, oh, who's the real monsters? It's like, I think we all were, a genocide for a genocide, like... And, like, we weren't going to be genocided when we were trying to do the genocide, so, like, why did we even have that, It takes away a lot of the poignancy, and just... I hate how Sea Level and Silurian stories do this. But, ultimately what made this hit so hard is the line, is it Tide said or Salt said? Someone said, like, we are terrified of you. And that felt fresh. That felt like it made everything else come together. Like, all of the faffing about ultimately you know, it's all brought together by the idea that, by that line. Like, I don't know, just, I found it really impactful, and I can overlook stuff, like, I will just try and put out of my mind the whole idea that they were trying to destroy us completely as a species, you know, by raising the water level by 100 meters. I can overlook that because I can just, well, like, I just try and put it out of my mind. But yeah, my point being, this is impactful as a series because of how grounded it is in the real world. That's why I'm buying it on DVD, because, like, you know, giving the Earth's environment essentially a voice is a really powerful idea. And this is what Doctor Who does. Like, this is classic Doctor Who. It has amazing ideas with the most potential, absolutely incredible ideas. And it tickles your balls with them, you know? It really, like, it makes you excited for them, and then it doesn't do much with them at all. And you're left with that ball tickling, and the question is the ball tickling good, or would you have rather not had your balls tickled at all? And ultimately, like, for me, I'm glad my balls were tickled rather than nothing happened at all. I'd rather be blue-balled by Doctor Who than for it to, you know, not go for the gonads. You know what I mean? Like, Doctor Who is just, I don't think it's inherently, but it is by its nature just disappointing. All these ideas, and they're so disappointing, and that's what The War Between the Land and the Sea is. It's disappointing, but the ideas that it plays with, the impact of the end of that second episode, all of the demands presented in the second episodes that are like, oh my god, we're going to get such interesting political stuff. What does it mean that we can't even fly anymore? Oh, I love it. So yeah, I'm used to Doctor Who, and this is ball-ticklingly good. It's not genuinely great, but the very fact that it presents these ideas, that it wrestles with the idea of, like, taking apart the modern economy, restricting us from being able to go via ships or plane, you know, people in Britain especially. Like, this hits in the UK because we are an island, and the story, like, the Sea Devils were just presenting it as, you're now going to be locked into your islands, there is no global trade, and that is profoundly interesting. And I think part of the interestingness is because ultimately, like, the global trade that we have, the global machine for that is wrapped up in so much evil towards the environment, you know? So we do have to wrestle with the idea of, like, well, what do we do if the environment insists upon itself and says, look, we are shutting down your economy because the way it works is destroying us. You know, this is basically about climate change, you know. It makes you think, like, it like poses the question, like, what does the world look like if we are stopped from destroying the environment, which ultimately the environment is going to do to us. So, like, that's why I'm getting this on DVD, because, I mean, I'm a sucker for Doctor Who. Would I get this on DVD if it wasn't Doctor Who? No, I wouldn't. But I didn't buy Miracle Date, and honestly, I'm going to be the first person to say this, but I prefer this to Children of Earth. See, Children of Earth, yeah, it's like, oh, how far will our politicians go and stuff, but, like, this series addresses what we are doing as a species about the environmental apocalypse that we are bringing forward. You know, powered by the corporations and stuff, you know? Like, this series means something. That's why it's impactful. It's why, like, you know, the fish fucking, it may be there and it may be not particularly interesting, but it doesn't matter. Because the questions that are tickling my balls and should be tickling your balls too, they are questions as a species we should be grappling with. And the fact that we aren't grappling with it as much as we could be is, you know, that makes this series really important. And yeah, like, Doctor Who is the kind of thing that, like, at best gets the conversation going. It does not do anything more than that. It's not. But yeah, no, this gets, it keeps in the conversation, it keeps in our minds the whole idea of what we are doing to the environment, you know, and it takes it beyond, like, the reason why raising the water level by 100 meters, which I don't know if, I heard that's not really accurate to what would happen, but nevertheless, the whole, we are melting the ice caps, the reason why that doesn't bother me, even though, like, the whole, they're genociding us, so we might as well genocide them kind of angle, like, it just makes it so much more boring. But the point being, if they're melting the ice caps, they're just accelerating what we're already doing. So that's what gives it gravitas. The actual plotting of it is a mess, but it doesn't matter because it's making it all real. You know? So yeah, I was trying to make this shorter, but, like, that's why I'm getting this DVD, because ultimately I think this is more important than Children of Earth. Every time I watch Children of Earth, I am more bored by it, you know? Like, it was an amazing first watch. It was so much better than this as a first watch. But this tickles all the right balls in all the right places. And yeah, it doesn't do more than that, but, you know, that's where we are at in this society, where we need our balls tickled. So yeah, that's my review. That's why I love this. Do I love it? It's why I need it in my collection. And yeah, the BBC have become such an evil force in the world, you know? The way the way they are about trans people and Palestinians, it's fundamentally evil, and it is probably evil that I'm supporting them by getting this on DVD. I'm just a sucker for Doctor Who, and yeah, I'm not defending myself here, I'm just saying why I think this matters, and why I think this is better than Children of Earth. Like, Children of Earth, I don't know, you know, it confronts you with how things really are, and it's like, oh yeah, ooh, that's quite harrowing. This confronts us with the future, you know? Like, the future that we all need to grapple with. The whole, yeah, no, that's what's important about this. Bye. Alright, I feel I have to explain myself a bit more about Children of Earth, and how this is better than Children of Earth. I think my point being is that Children of Earth, it shows you how shit is and how horrible stuff is. It's very much like holding up a mirror of the world as it is. And, like, it's not like that isn't important, but I think the thing about basically, like, environmentalism and the climate crisis is that it requires us to imagine a different world, you know? Like, addressing these things is a very imaginative exercise, and that's kind of means that stuff that addresses it helps us consider, like the fact that this is just like, right, we're gonna just stop doing flights and ships. That dares us to imagine a world where that's not the case. So whereas Children of Earth is a mirror, this is engaged in the important work of helping us imagine and confronting us with reasons for why it's important to imagine, because obviously the Children of Earth is about the future as much as it is about the present. But, yeah, I think, we should be further along with this in the climate crisis, but as it stands, we need help imagining this future. There's a strong lack of imagination with that regards. It's a really important thing that we should be doing, and creatives should be 100% brewing over and trying to help us imagine these things. So yeah, that's why I think this is better and more important than the Children of Earth, Like, I'm gonna watch this in the future because I want to imagine, how we address the climate crisis and all of the environmentally bad things we're doing, This is fundamentally important. Sure it does other stuff that's not good, but it's important that this tries, kind of like how Orphan 55, at least it made an attempt at making us think about stuff, I think this actually is a lot more effective than Orphan 55. Because, I don't think Orphan 55 makes many people think about the climate crisis. But at least an attempt was made to deal with it, because it is like an absolutely colossal issue of our time. We are destroying the future. Like, this is an important series, and just because it wasn't perfect doesn't mean it wasn't necessary. Subscribe, please. I need more subscribers. And, if you want me to do more reviews, I can. I don't really have any interest in reviewing stuff that I don't like. But what I can do is I can review stuff that I love. And the things that I love are the things that everyone else hates. Like, in Doctor Who, I love Underworld, I love Time Flight. Although Underworld's a lot better than Time Flight, but I love the Reality War. I've got a 3-hour video on why I love Fear Her. Any episode you don't like, there's a very strong chance that I love. I can only really think of classic era stories, and I don't want to just restrict it to that, because ultimately, my passion is for the modern era much more than the classic era, but by God, the classic era I do love as well. So if you're interested in my reviews, if you want to, find ways of loving stories that are hated, I even enjoy Legend of the Sea Devils for its worth. It's mostly for the visuals, but, God damn, those visuals are good. Alright, just to clarify my point about how, I find value in positive reviews rather than negative. I think there is a lot of value in identifying when stuff is problematic. We should always be, critical of our media and examining it, and I think that is good and healthy and excellent. And it's good for people to do that. But ultimately, like, you can have all the like, that aside, like, any other sort of, like, just saying, like, you know, the pacing sucked, or any of that, like, that's that adds no value to anyone's life to be like, wait, did no one realise the pacing sucked? Or the fact that, you know, it's a lot more justified to do a genocide when they're trying to genocide you actively, you know, like, you know, all of that is like, who cares? Like, what ultimately is meaty to me is learning, like, you need to find the person whose eyes, you know, I don't want to see this story through the eyes of someone who hates it. I want to see it through the eyes of someone who loves it. And there's people who love the badly paced episodes, and that is really valuable to me. Because I don't love those, and there's ways that I love this and find such deep value in it. And that is really valuable to the rest of you, right? Like, learning how to love something actually opens you up to being able to love it and find ways of enjoying it. Like, negative reviews, you know, they're ultimately just not useful. They're a waste of time, unless they're talking about how it's problematic. But, like, I don't need to know why the love story is unengaging. I need to know why it is engaging. Or why it, you know? Like, I'm entirely uninterested in just hearing the, 10th person just tell me how the love story does not interest them. That adds nothing to my life. Which is why I've, like, focused not on it at all in this review, because, you know, I have nothing to say about it. I don't know how to access it to make it interesting. I mean, apart from just the funny thing about how, this guy's gonna fuck a fish. Hey, he fucked a fish, you know? So yeah, I'm a big proponent of reviews that show you why something is actually incredible and lovable, and, you know, if you can see stuff through the eyes of someone who loves it, then yeah, that's so much more powerful. So yeah, that's my thinking on that.